All right, so we'll work our way backwards up through my screen here. So this is a page by Brandon for the Duluth Tribune. And let's actually, oh, this was the breaking news here last week. Great work by so many of you that night that this story broke. Brandon let us know right away, let the copy desk know that this story was coming through so that they were aware, because he overheard the reporters talking about it in the newsroom. So thank you to Brandon. I know that the copy desk folks here in Fargo were talking about how much that helped just to have a little heads up. I know that several of you had that as a breaking story on your covers, had to redo covers for it. So really great work from all of you that had to deal with that. So it's an incredible story, and this is exactly, why we do what we do, is for the big news like this. We don't get it, and thankfully not stories like this very often, but when we do, it's great that we can react to them quickly. And I know that we had a couple of emails from editors thanking our designers for their work on these pages that night. So excellent work. And this is a great page. Brandon's got there's 3 stories all related to the Jamie Close story. He's got 3 different points of entry here, and just a really good page. So really strong, big headline. It's just what you need on a story like this. So well done, Brandon. This is Amy's for Bemidji, and another great page here. We're talking about Hockey Day in Bemidji. I believe Joe said that that's coming up this weekend, so it's a big event. Great looking page here. She's got the little bit of a fade there on that main photo. And it really works well. A lot of times we play our main photos right at the top of the page, but this one really works well, fading it at the top of the image. So you get that nice big headline well above the fold, and you're still probably getting most of that photo above the fold as well. So she's got, the if you go information right at the top with that main story. So really, I'm sure that was a great one on the rack, and really just a nice strong page. So well done, Amy. Here we've got one from Tim for Park Rapids, and this was from the Blueberry Pines fire. I think this was either right before or right after Christmas. Oh, right after New Year's, yep. And Tim did a great job with this smoke effect. And I know I was peeking in the Park Rapids room when he was working on that, and the first version had the smoke covering the last portion of Enterprise here, and the editor asked if he could do something so that the flag was still visible, and so he did a really nice job layering that smoke so that you could still see and read the name of the paper well, and but still get that great smoke effect up at the top. So great work, Tim. This one is a page for Hudson, and this is,
That's mine.
Oh, that's Lauren's. Okay, thank you. And a nice cutout here, or clip here, peeking into the flag there. Nice color in the headline just to make it pop a little bit, especially with a more of a feature-y type of story. I think this works well. But look at all the art that's on that page. You don't get a lot of front pages with that much art, and a nice, decent images there with every one of the stories there. So nicely done, Lauren. This is one of Angie's for Mitchell. We can get it to load here. There we go. And that's a really striking photo here with the players are kind of shadowed there. And just a nice photo package here for this centerpiece. High school playoffs. And just with a large teaser to the inside, to the stories on the sports cover, but just played up the photos really well. So nicely done, Angie. This is one of Dave Nevinen's for Duluth. Let's come out here a little. And again, a two-story package here, and nice big photo. We've got great imagery on the page, and then he's got the main centerpiece has these two stories that tie together, and nice vertical image here down at the bottom, tying in with one of those down page stories. So nicely done, Dave. This was one of Wayne's for the forum. And I really enjoyed the headline on this one. Wayne Youth.
I was down by that.
It's a lamb.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, I figured that it was John Lamb, the reporter, but not a lot of, Tim says, ooh, that headline, yeah, buddy. I like how, the color of the headline is tying into her top. With musical artists, a lot of times it's kind of a crapshoot on your art. Some of them are great, some of them are awful, some of them are super weird or bizarre colors or something, or really strange. Yeah, or one column wide. Or like strange poses, so Wayne just really played up this image. It's really a pretty simple layout, but it just works really well. So nicely done, Wayne. This is another one of Wayne's, and this was definitely more involved and I know this because I totally stole this package to use on another page for one of the other papers. Except, of course, it was in like a 5-column hole instead of 6, and so I had to like downsize everything just a little bit. I thought I was being so smart and that it was going to really save me some time. It really did not, I don't think, because it was a lot of like smushing and making just a little bit smaller and trying to cram all of them in. And then, of course, we didn't need the life on that page, so I had to rearrange a little bit, and so it still took me quite a while. So I suspect that putting it together the first time was even more involved. So nicely done, Wayne. It's the top vegetables and flowers for 2019, the All America selections, and and so images with every one of those things, and it did a really nice arrangement. It's really readable, so well done, Wayne. This is one of Cindy's for the forum, and this was a story on a Fargo woman who acted as a surrogate mother for a pair of fathers in Los Angeles who were having and they had twins. So it was really a good read, and this is just a really beautifully done layout, you know, they were great photos, and just a really nice layout for the story, so well done, Cindy. This is another one of Cindy's, and this had, you know, a piece of stock art, but it's really striking, and I really like the headline treatment that she used here with this image, so I thought that was really striking. Well done, Cindy.
What's that font
Ooh.
that back was?
I don't know what that one was. Cindy, if you can, I don't know if you're on the line here, but if you know which font the back was on, I don't know if that's one of our normal fonts or not.
She could have drawn it.
Or maybe it was drawn, yeah. So, Cindy, if you can pop in and tell us what that was, that'd be cool. This one is one of Bob's, and this was an inside page, but still a really great page, you know. He did a really nice big Athlete of the Week package here.
Athlete of the Week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so like, yeah, a lot of our athletes of the week, you know, they get
It's a little
about 8
box.
inches and a mug shot, yeah, so clearly they take it more seriously in Brainerd here, and, you know, Bob did a great job, like, you've got his hand popping out of the image there, and his leg up here, and it's a great photo and great treatment, so well done, Bob. Okay, and Cindy is saying that she thinks the text was Bilbo, but she converted it to an object, so. All right, so this is one of Jackie's, and another Bison page. This one is from
Championship game?
It was the championship game. I was looking at the date. Yeah. So, from the national championships, you know, big yellow and green, and nice imagery, great photos from down in Texas, and then nice little pullout here of college football dynasties down at the bottom. So, a lot of info and a lot of just great images down here, so nicely done, Jackie. And one more from Jackie. This one was another one on whether they, let's see, what is it? It's on Wentz here. I saw this the other day, but
It's like the other quarterback.
the other,
Yeah.
Mhm.
just debating with which one they should
Yeah,
be
because
playing.
Wentz was injured, so he was the
Gotcha.
backup after
Okay.
he broke himself.
Yeah, again.
Mhm.
Yes, so, I like the how you pulled out the teal from the jerseys and stuff, and the way that she boxed this in. You know, it's mostly boxed, but I kind of dig how it's faded here. I also like this almost smoky edging here, so there's just a lot to like there. Nicely done, Jackie. All right, so Emma says, "Yeah, what Erin said."
Thanks, Emma.
Nice page, Jackie. So, Alicia had suggested we have a little, you know, I talked about how I'd like to have a little bit more tutorials and such, but I thought that this one really called for a little bit of interaction with all of you. So I'm looking for some comments. You guys can just type stuff in the Hangouts here in the forum room. You guys can talk about stuff. But so Tim the other day got a challenge, and let's see here. Okay, so I just wanted to, so his story here, no, this is the wrong story. I have a habit of, I'll be putting things in for Kudos, and then I start downloading things, and then they go into that same folder, and so we end up with things that don't belong in the Kudos folder. That's what that was. Okay, so Tim got this story. It was his CP for the Stevens County Times last week for Friday for their Saturday paper. And you'll see in the notes here, designer can combine and crop the two photos to use together or use one on A1 and one with the jump. A photo can also be used smaller to break up copy on A1 or a jump page or both. And then there's a pull quote suggested. So these are the instructions that he received, and this is the art that he got. That's one, and this was the other. So I am, like Alicia said, I would love to know what other people might have done with these images. So like I said, if you guys can type in some stuff, like what would you guys have tried to do with this as a CP?
Did she take these pictures?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
you can see
It's
her
a- it's a-
reflection
Because
in
you
one
can
of
tell
them.
they're like
Yeah.
so cropped up to it. It's like, give us some room. Like,
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
She always does that shit.
Did one of the instructions say that you could crop it more?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Why, how would you crop it more?
You haven't worked with Ray, have you?
So, yes, so
That's free.
we sometimes have challenges with with the instructions that with our editors, sometimes. Brandon says, unserious answer, I would have cussed out the editor. Yeah. We all end up with art that we do not, we're like, what in heaven's name are we going to use? Or what are we going to do this? Bob says he would have handed off the page to another designer. So somebody's got to do this page. What would you guys have done with this?
Just pop them on there.
Well,
She's
and
okay.
another hard, difficult issue is the story is maybe 7 inches long, am I right?
Oh, wow.
And
Was
she's
it
talking
really,
about
was
jumping
it
it.
super short, Tim?
It looked like it, but.
Okay, it might have just been the way that
Well, I mean,
that
that's
it
not
was
surprising.
formatted on
No,
this.
she
It
does
wasn't
that
that
all.
short.
Well,
It's,
Oh, it's
oh,
long.
it is
Okay.
long,
Okay.
okay, so
Which is
that's.
her other thing.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I've come across that issue before where.
You get really bad
Oh.
photos and then a
Yeah,
short
what's
story.
the-
Enjoy.
Okay, so
Good job.
Emma's saying maybe take a more typographic. It's called, the headline was Water on the Rise. Rates in Morris, Alberta to increase in April.
Yeah,
Is it
something cool with the headline?
Yeah.
You could add like
Oops,
water drops
sorry.
to it or something. I don't know.
Add some graphics
Easy
to
to
it.
read.
Like, could you
Photos
ask
are
her
over.
for a image that isn't
No.
like cropped so tight?
Hmm.
Like, would she have one of those?
She took these on her cell phone.
Maybe,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
well,
yeah.
and the
You-
problem
And
is
they
too
have
is
to
how
good
big are the
quality.
photos.
yeah.
Yeah, are they like cell phone photos?
I think they were a decent size.
Okay. Okay.
But yep, Tim says they are large images, so.
You probably have to do like a clip it out kind of fading, kind of like the
Yeah.
picture of like the flag, just kind of fade it. I don't know.
Alright, so now I'm gonna show you guys what Tim did with this, because it's really, pretty amazing, I think. That was a lot of oohs and ahs from the forum room here, Tim. I am just like, we were pretty impressed in this room. Alicia, like I said, Alicia saw that page, and she was like, "You gotta do something with this." So. Cindy says, "Now we know who to pass those types of pages off to."
He's doing it.
Oh yeah, look at the other art that's on
Oh,
there.
yes. Tim is also pointing out his secondary art
Is that a picture of his?
of a sign
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
front of a
She
door.
probably
or shop.
cropped it like that too.
Yeah. So, yes,
She's like,
So I think Tim may get like some miracle worker status for this, but yeah, I mean, I think this was really pretty much genius. So well done, Tim. Fantastic. Oh, Tim says the other one was of a pharmacy sign and the side of a cop car that said police. Oh, for the police chief finalists. Epic. So, nicely done, Tim. I think we should like get him some sort of crown or trophy or something like that for
Tim,
that.
did you have a very, very large drink that night after you got home?
Dave Nevenin says we call that making chicken salad out of chicken. Something. So, nicely done. All right. So, like I said, I just had a meeting where we talked a little bit about this whole switch to Slack from HipChat. It sounds like IT has been doing some testing, and it sounds like stuff is migrating decently. All of the notifications that they built in for us with page track, you know how we get our little pop-ups saying that our pages have been approved or unapproved or whatever. That's all it sounds like has come across. So they're gonna be doing some testing, but we may be ready to go live with moving to Slack probably the week after next. We're gonna wait until after M&A because all of the managers are gonna be out of town next week for that. So so potentially we could be switching over to Slack in like 10 days. So if everything is as smooth as they think it is. So they'll be doing a little bit more testing and then we'll probably be moving over. I expect that it's going to, the interface is going to be pretty similar to what we're using with HipChat. So, and he said there actually may be some more functionality that we might be able to build in some functions into Slack that we're using in PageTrack and stuff. He gave the instance, he's like, we could build a button to approve pages from Slack instead of going back into PageTrack. I'm like, well, that sounds terrifying, but maybe there is an instance that would be useful. So we'll see
Yeah, what about
what
Karma?
they
Yeah, what about Karma?
Oh yeah,
I have a
Karma.
lot of
I don't
Karma
know
right
if
now.
you guys are gonna, if the Karma points are
Yeah,
gonna
I was gonna
trans-
ask.
we
Can
might
we
have
make
to.
our own
Also,
emoticons?
emojis?
Sure about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I have no idea.
These are the important
But
questions.
these are
We
the,
really
clearly,
don't care.
yes. Can we have lots of GIFs?
They
And
do have Giphy's, but
Karma.
it's
What's
gonna
that?
be built into it apparently.
What's that?
Giphy.
Oh, Giphy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
If it's
Wow.
on
Awesome.
All right.
and you feel
Yes.
I will make notes here about.
Oh, but yeah, Tim has his emoji in HipChat.
Oh, yeah, that's
They're
right.
like,
There is
is
the,
this-
the Tim emoji.
Does he,
yes.
yeah, we can't add like stuff to HipChat anymore. I don't like.
Yeah. Emojis and.
Because they are on there already, but.
Karma. All right. Yes. Any other important things that we need to know before that we should have them be testing out before we.
Could you like check out
move over?
pages from that?
I
Is
don't.
that-
I
'cause
mean,
if it
those
says,
are
like-
all things that they would have to build. You know.
I mean, that's
so,
like a thing I think would be handy. 'Cause
I
if it
don't
comes back
know.
to you, you could like just check it out.
I feel like people are gonna end up pressing a lot of buttons they
Yeah.
shouldn't.
I'm.
I don't want this kind of
Only
responsibility.
unless
yeah.
it's on you,
Yes.
unless it mentions you only.
Yeah.
Well, but then, yeah, I guess we're not there.
I don't know. I would suspect this would be, those types of things would be down the road a bit, but yeah, so maybe there'll be some things that make it even more useful for us.
It could be interesting if there was a way to like send pages, like if someone's helping you and they're like, yeah, I'll take this page out of your hands,
And
you don't have to go
send
into
it right
page
from-
track.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? And our IT folks, it's pretty amazing some of the stuff that they can do and how quickly, you know. So, alright. So, that's what I know about Slack, and the demise of HipChat. We have until, I believe it said, February 15th, HipChat disappears, so, we will be hopefully moving before that, so.
Why exactly is HipChat disappearing? Like just cause?
Because Slack bought HipChat.
No.
They own it now, so they're using their own product, so, yeah. It's all owned by Atlassian, I believe.
Okay.
So. Oh, it sounds like there will be some live tests of Modulist beginning on Monday. They'll be starting to push obits through Modulist instead of the old websites and stuff. So within the next few weeks, we may start getting some obituaries through Modulist, which means once they get everything kind of rolled out, we will be placing our own obits on our pages, so we won't need to wait for production to place them on the pages. We're going to be kind of in between for quite a while because they'll be rolling it out by newspaper, and so, and a lot of times obituaries will get, they'll be sent to one newspaper, but they're picked up by others, so we might have it through Modulist in one paper and through the old system in another, it sounds like, so. Alicia said she is going to be working with Jason Mitchie, who is in IT here, they're gonna write some scripts to bring in the obits onto the page for us with the correct number counts and all of that stuff, so I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to work. I asked Alicia that, like, once they've got it kind of figured out, if she could come and do a tutorial during one of our meetings so we can kind of see it in action and stuff, but once that happens though, both our obits and the death notices will all come in as PDFs, so we will not have the ability to edit them anymore. Not that we did much anyway, it was pretty rare that we would edit an obituary, but it also means that, we'll have all of the death notices, we're not going to be able to, stretch them into a 2-column like we have been able to up to now and stuff, so it will mean some adjustments in our pages, and we may need to talk with the newspapers about getting some more fillers and things like that, especially because a lot of them don't like plug ads on their obituary pages, but we're gonna need something, I think, for those pages, so. And this will eventually involve, at some point down the road, all of the paid content, like the engagements and paid letters and paid business briefs and all of that sort of thing, so it's beginning here, so keep an eye out for that. We'll be talking about that more.
They're all coming in as separate PDFs, right? It's not just like one page?
I believe they'll all
Okay.
be separate chunks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause unless it,
That would be a
yeah,
mess
I just don't know
if it
how
was-
it would be able to build them nicely
Okay.
and deal with ad stacks and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm sure there's some ways that could happen, but.
Brandon has a question.
Brandon, let's see. If obits aren't going to be editable, are there going to be ways to avoid certain pitfalls ahead of time? For example, the D&T's funeral home constituents absolutely hate it when the system inserts a hyphen in their web addresses. That I don't know. That's a really good example, Brandon. If there are any other little tweaks like that, can you send them to me and I'll pass them along to Nicole Seitz. She's the head of content services, and let Devlin know as well, since their focus is really going to be on Modulist. Yeah, I have no idea if that will be something, yes, and we know the photos sometimes don't fill the entire frame. I know that has been an issue. Okay, Julie Frederick, okay. I will, jot down notes about that quickly as well, so.
Do they know what exactly the same? Are they gonna be a little neater, kind of.
What's that?
Are they gonna be like exactly the same looking, like same fonts? and
I
everything, or-
believe so, yeah, I think they're gonna be, I guess I don't know for sure that they would be any different, so.
Or like eventually when they move to like business free, so they can actually like buy a non-monk size picture, you know, like.
Yeah, yeah, I
Feel
don't
like they're
know.
handing out photos or,
Right.
checks. Just seems like, oh, hey, hoping it might be beneficial to the customer.
Right.
But that's me.
All right. Okay, so, and speaking of, let's see, Emma says when obits need to flow onto a different page, will layout be taking care of all that then, since we can't edit them? Well, no, we would still be dealing with that. I don't believe layout will be involved anymore with the paid content. We would be moving them from page to page, just like we do now when it needs to fill more than a page. I guess, well, sometimes we're doing it. I guess sometimes on the weeklies, layout handles that, but most of the time they kind of put them all on one page and then we go from there and place them on those other pages since we know better where we want them, so I expect that will continue to be the case, so I will let you guys know as I find out more information, so. Speaking of hyphenating web addresses, it was brought up, if you guys can try to make sure that on email addresses, on bylines especially, if you've got a long byline, make sure that you're trying to break that in a nice spot. Usually, I would say the best spot is to break it right after the name, and then push the at, formcom.com or whatever, or like Park Rapids has a
Every
really
time.
long,
Mhm.
yeah, they've got a super long domain name, so it's hard to not hyphenate that, so put in the soft return so you're not getting a hyphen, and make sure that you're breaking it so it's not like just .com on the second line or something like that. It's just kind of funky looking, so. Also remember that we really should have 9 points of space between nearly every item on our pages. We've been seeing more and more stories really tight to pieces of art or to headlines. So remember to give it that breathing room. 9 picas not 9 picas, P9, 9 points is the width of our gutters on our pages, on almost all of our pages. I think there are still a few weeklies out there with one full 1 pica gutters, but almost all of them are P9. And so we want to have that spacing between all of our other elements. When there's a rule down between stories, there should be 9 points of space on either side of that rule, whether it's left to right or top to bottom. Make sure that when you've got your a photo and you've got a cut line below it, that you've under that cut line, the bottom of that cut line, if you've got another photo or the story below it, make sure there's at least that 9 points of space below that, so you're not smashing things up against each other. Some of them are looking pretty tight and condensed, so. I wanted to also show just a quick thing. This is, so I don't have the right fonts on this computer here on our TV in this room, so it looks a little screwy, but we've had this is like a kind of a pet peeve of mine, and of a lot of editors. We've had some odd art placement recently, and so I just wanted to remind you guys, so this is called doglegging a story. When you have something, when you've got a story that's wrapping around either a piece of art or sometimes it's an ad, you know, if some of our papers, some of the weeklies have the ad stacks that are backwards from this on their even pages where they, where like the tall portion of the ad stack would be over on this side. And then sometimes you have to dogleg around the bottom, you know, if your ad stack was high on the left and short on the right, you might end up doglegging over that ad. We prefer not to if you don't have to, but definitely with your stories, do not dogleg your stories around your art like this. If you've got a piece of art like this, you always want to try to keep your art at the top of columns. I would say, you know, exceptions to that rule is if you've got multiple pieces of art, then maybe you would have, you know, maybe you've got, especially if it's a big photo package where you've got like 4 or 5 different pieces, then maybe you would end up with, you know, maybe you've got a big 3 column here. Here, let me show you. You know, you've got a big main piece of art and they've got like some big ol' photo package. You've got a wide open page and you've got to cram or try to get a bunch of images on because they want you to use all of the photos that they have. I think we all get those every once in a while. So maybe you've got your main image up at the top. You've got another one that is like a 4 column, and you're trying to not to have every photo the same size, so you're trying to stagger your sizes. You know, you kind of get to a point where you're running out of different sizes and shapes of images. So, you know, maybe you've got a photo here, and you've still got more art. Maybe they gave you a vertical one. In that instance, you could see, you know, maybe you've got story going and wrapping around. I try not to make the reader like jumping over pieces of art, like when you've got, I'm trying to think of a way to give that example here. Especially when you have an ad stack, like where one thing is cutting off your text. So imagine like this maybe is an ad, and you've got your story that is here, and it's longer.
If you wanna pull that out, you can fill a placeholder
Where is that?
up under type. You have to be in the text box. Down towards the bottom.
Do that one.
Oh, okay, all right. So
I was gonna say you might have to do it again.
do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're imagining that this item is an ad, you don't wanna have to make a reader jump from here up to here. You wanna try to always keep your pieces of text together or next to each other, I guess I'm trying to say. Also, I've seen a few spots where designers have started a column with art, and then you've got like your byline below the art. You know, make sure that you always want to keep your, as much as possible, keep your copy and your headline close to each other. You don't wanna have to make like I said, don't wanna make the reader have to jump over objects, over even things like pull quotes or logos or things like that, or even column sigs. You know, don't put those column sigs right here. Those should always either be a little, you know, the vertical one in that first column, or you push it over and you put your column sig up at the top of the second column, or even in between the two columns if that's an option. But another thing that works too is if you've got, like the other day I had a really narrow column that I needed to run horizontally at the bottom of a page. And so I had my headline stretched across, and it would have been pretty awkward to have the column sig like at the top of a column, because there wasn't enough text to wrap under it, the sig. So I used a vertical one right at the beginning here, and then made my columns a bastard width. And I don't have libraries up on this computer. I'd show you exactly what I mean, but so use a vertical one in that instance. You don't want to do that if it's much deeper than the actual sig, because you don't want to have a bunch of empty space unless you're doing it as like part of a centerpiece where you've got like a large, you're using it as white space, or you want to tuck a skinny pull quote or something down here, then maybe you could use that in that way. But if you've just got a column and you're using a column sig that you want to use at the beginning there, don't have it so that there's a bunch of white space under it. So yeah, like I said, keep your photos so they're not right at the beginning of stories. Keep those bylines, the beginning of stories close to your headlines. Even when we're doing a big power head and a drop head, or a drop head, I try to keep that drop head close to the beginning of the story so that you're keeping a headline close to the beginning, so you're not making a reader jump over something or across, you know, a big expanse of the page from where they read that headline to where they're beginning the story. Alright. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions about that? Alright. Okay, I have one other quick thing here. We talked a little bit last week about how, you know, when we first started the hub, we did a little tutorial on how to add your own words to your spell check. And, you know, I gave the example of curse words to add to your spell check. It also is really handy for things like Bemidji, which comes up in your spell check every single time if you do not have it added to your own dictionary. Things like Brainerd, you know, these are not normal names, you know, so it's going to pop up with those, but you could add them to your own dictionary. So The way you do that, and I will send out instructions because I found Alicia's old instructions. You go into, let's see. Go into edit, and then oh, no, sorry, one other thing is turning on your dynamic spelling. That's where you get the little squiggly red lines under any words that may not be spelled correctly. That is under edit, spelling, and dynamic spelling. It's hard to see any on this page because we've got the bad fonts, but you can see like Wardner is underlined because it's in English. Okay, so to add words to your own dictionary, you go to okay, so edit, spelling, use your dictionary. Then you can start typing in every bad word that you can think of. Also, any words that you use quite regularly that are not bad words, hopefully. Things like I said, like Bemidji, like Brainerd, like lots of our city names would be handy to have in. Maybe there's some person that, like a mayor of a town that has a goofy spelling that maybe even gets misspelled frequently. Put in the correct spelling. That would add all of those things so they're not going to pop up in your dictionary anymore. Or I'm sorry, let's see. Yeah. Let's see.
They wouldn't
This-
be wrong in your dynamic spelling.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't we want it to pop
but
up swear words?
We
I
do.
suppose.
Yes. So let's see here. Oh, let's see. To say removed words. Okay. Okay. So, I apologize. I should have read this through. Okay, so added words. This would be the good ones, like Bemidji, like Brainerd, that you don't want to have to look at every single time. You would add those words. You would remove the curse words because you want them to pop up if they happen to get on a page. Another one that is in this, in the instructions from Alicia from 2 years ago here, were things that could be frequently misspelled. Like today, there was a headline that talked about a pubic taste testing. It was public. It was a chili cook-off, but the L got left out of public.
Was this in one of our papers?
Yes, one of the copy editors caught it. Thank God.
Oh my God.
But pubic would be a good one to put in your removed words just to make sure that it is being correctly used. So, things like that would be great ones to get in there. And make sure that you guys are always spell checking your pages before you send them off. Make sure you're doing the spell check. And now, of course, I can't because I'm on this stupid computer.
I think it's under spelling still.
Just doing spell check.
Yeah.
Oh, because I always do. Yes. Control I, or we'll bring it up. So do your spell check. Make sure you're doing the whole document, your entire document, so that it's checking every piece of your page before you send them off to the copy editors. The copy editors do not run spell check on our pages. They're just checking headlines, cut lines, our display type, you know, if they've got more time, then they'll be looking through those stories more closely, but, the majority of the time, they're not, and they are not running spell checks, so that is our responsibility. Will also help us, you know, when, sometimes, you know, I really preach that we should be copying and pasting everything on our pages as much as humanly possible so that we don't make misspellings. But, you know, sometimes we're reworking a headline or typing in a teaser text or something that needs to be, tweaked a little bit, you know, so whenever we're doing those types of things, make sure you're running the spell checks on those as well, so. So, like I said, I will send out these instructions again for you guys, especially, like I said, you know, we've got a lot of new folks that I know that I did not personally tell them how to add in words for the dictionaries. I know that a lot of the rest of us have gotten new computers since we did this 2 years ago, so, you know, those types of things, we wanna make sure that the dynamic spelling is on, that our spell checks are catching as much as humanly possible, so. All right, I think that's plenty for today. Thank you all so very much for, sticking with me for so long, and, have a good evening. Thank you all.